Hi guys, Thierry Rocks here, today doing another album review because, well, it's an excuse to gush about my favorite music on a video, so, why not? Today we'll be discussing an extremely underrated band and their only major label album, Fingertight's album In the Name of Progress. So yeah, I wanted to discuss this album because I bought it recently from Amazon. It was a US import, so it took over a month to arrive, unfortunately. But yeah, now there's a very good reason why I specifically sought it out on CD, is because this album isn't on streaming, like at all. At least in the UK and Europe. As far as I know, it is on the American version of Spotify, but yeah, in my country, this album's unavailable. All the songs are in grey. You cannot find anything. So I resorted to actually buying the CD and adding the files to my phone to listen to it. How did I discover them? Well, back in the early lockdown of 2020, I think I was in a Facebook group and somebody shared the song "Guilt Hold Down," which is undoubtedly their most famous song, and I loved it so much. I played it a lot during that lockdown, but obviously with the album not being on streaming, I couldn't add it to any playlists, and I didn't get around to listening to the full album until very recently. I just, I don't know, I just put it on the back burner. But now I have, and I have to say, this is definitely one of the most underrated 2000s rock albums. Rock albums with that very much has that sound and style of the time, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to discuss it because nobody else has really. So who are Fingertight? They were formed in 1997. They did a first demo album type thing, but I'm not going to bother talking about that one because it doesn't have the singer from this one, so it sounds nothing like anything else they did. Then they released a demo type album called Meantime Between Failures in 2000, which has a lot of demos of the songs that would be on In the Name of Progress. Which, by the way, that name sounds very similar to the Stained album. I think that one's called The Illusion of Progress or something, so I don't know. It was released in 2003, that absolutely amazing year for music and just media in general. However, for some reason I can't find the exact month that it released in. Some sources say the album came out in June, others say September, so I'm not really sure, to be honest. Also, the name Fingertight is kind of a bit dodgy sounding, but it is a real term if you Google it. It basically means as tight of a grip as something can have. They ended up signing to Columbia Records and Sony. But what's interesting is that I found that the Apex Theory were signed onto this label. That is some real obscure early 2000s new metal. Maybe I'll review them one day. But yeah, due to several factors, it's another example of the label just not knowing what to do with the band and them essentially going nowhere and becoming forgotten about. But this album really feels like it was the beginning of a band's journey, and it feels like they could have expanded on it and kept making great albums. They didn't really end up going anywhere, and they have a bit of a sad history. Before we get into the music though, I'm gonna do what I usually do, a bit of an ASMR style looking at the packaging here. So I absolutely love this album cover of this robot. I think this guy was supposed to be their mascot, but because they weren't famous, it didn't really end up going anywhere. But yeah, it's some very strange imagery. He's carrying a CRTV and there's robotic tentacles coming out. And he's got a paint roller suggesting that this is his world he's created. Another thing I'll bring up as well is that the robot on the album cover reminds me of those 90s emo bands Sunny Day Real Estate and the Get Up Kids. They seem to have painted, sketched album covers with robots on them. Maybe sort of representing a robot is emotionless and a machine. And the difference between them and humans who are highly emotional beings that need socialization. The back of it has the sort of mural design that we're going to look into, and the band themselves who look very of the time, just with the spiky hair and such. The disc has the robot guy himself on there, a drawn version of it, And what's interesting is when you take the disc out, the cover art features the same guy on the cover, but it looks like he's like corroded and rusted away. Maybe he's like dead or something. And you can also kind of see like the design, it like carries over with this kind of, I don't know, Californian beach kind of look to it. A little bit dystopian. And when you open it up, you basically get a big mural. I mean, you get the lyric side, of course. What you get on the other side is a massive, it's almost like a mural. Like, I could definitely see this whole thing just like on a wall somewhere. It is really, really cool. And considering it's from a band that like barely anyone's ever heard of, I mean, you've got these like trippy looking like angel robots flying. It looks like it's almost fighting the tentacles coming from the TV. I don't know if any of this is supposed to be like religious, you know, like angels and, you know, heavenly beings. I'm not really sure. It's just really cool and really bizarre, which, you know, that is definitely my kind of thing, just like trippy visuals. And the font is also kind of written in this curly handwriting kind of style. And another little interesting thing you'll notice is underneath the barcode is a tiny symbol of a hand stuck in some cogs, which was the album cover to Meantime Between Failures. So, nice little Easter egg there. Without further ado, let's get into the actual album. So track number 1, the opening song, is Fear in Me. It starts off with like a muted guitar and the singer doing this kind of like, you know, fear in me is what keeps me up at night. And then the drums kick in and the song just gets super energetic. Yeah, this song is brilliant because it just goes right into the kind of like, you know, energetic alternative rock style that the album has. It's really what an opening track should do. I also really like how there's a lot of like rap rock in the verses. Not ready for the Constitution, not ready for the revolution. I saw a comment on, I think, Reddit that said this song sounds like My Chemical Romance with rapping. Now, I'm not totally sure about that, but it does kind of have that, we're going to be mentioning this word a lot, but emo vibes to it. This album did release in 2003, but obviously like emo had been around like a decade before then, but it hadn't quite blown up into like a massive genre. You know the stereotypical version of emo. You know the people with like really long fringes and like black and white stripy shirts and Jack Skellington and Invader Zim, you know, merch all over. You know, in 2003, that vibe was just starting to pick up. So yeah, these guys were definitely interested in that. But yeah, then the song goes into this kind of like really sort of like chill kind of atmosphere, and then goes back into the chorus. The fear in me is what keeps me up at night. Yeah, this song is great. I love it. Track 2 is Bellevue, which I believe is like French for beautiful view. So yeah, we start off with some like solo bass, and then you hear those distorted like kind of melancholic like guitars. I don't know what it is, but this song for some reason reminds me of like anime. You know, I could totally see this being like a great A&B song. This song is like more on the sort of like power ballad kind of like side of things. I really like the first lyric. I woke up at noon, my voice was shaking, and I feel inside of me. And then the chorus. I walk alone, I walk alone. I also really like the sort of like strange little like guitar licks. It definitely goes back to the sort of like robotic vibe that the artwork has. But yeah, this song is it's very dramatic sounding. It does like paint a picture in my mind similar to what the artwork kind of like conveys. I really do think it should have been a single. It definitely had like potential to like get really popular. One other thing I mentioned about this album is that the lyrics are on the more generic side, all things considered, which isn't a problem to me. But I won't really be going into the meanings and nuances of all the songs, just because they're kind of like, it's 2000s, you know, rock, you know, slightly emo, slightly post-grunge, slightly new metal, so I'm not going to delve into the lyrics that far. But yeah, I just really love the guitar effects on this one. The production is like just super clean. The snare tone is also has a nice like punch to it as well, so you can't really complain. This is a great song. Track number 3, what I mentioned earlier, Guilt, Hold Down, and Hold Down obviously with like opening brackets and closing brackets. Yeah, this is the only song they did that actually had a music video. The music video is very much of the time. It's got that cold blue filter that I just really dig. You know, it like makes it look very like wintry, which is funny considering songs like Fearing Me have a summery kind of vibe to them. The music video is just them like performing, you know, with multiple camera angles, but you do get to see the artwork as a big mural in the background, so that is like pretty cool, like they were going for that vibe. But yeah, this song is mostly known for being in the game like NASCAR Thunder 2004, which that game, I am a big racing game fan, but I couldn't actually find a copy of it because it was never released in PAL regions, unfortunately. But it has a great soundtrack. It's got bands like Fuel, Memento, Avenged Sevenfold, 3 Days Grace, Moto Greater, and like many others. It's a great soundtrack, and yeah, this song Guilt definitely does fit the racing game vibes. I love the opening of the you know, those guitar effects. And yeah, the drums kick in. The drumming is excellent on this album too. But yeah, when I listened to this in 2020, it just always kind of like stuck with me. It always was a very like catchy song. I went to sleep last night wondering how I feel if I woke up tomorrow and you know must feel. What would you use your hands? Would you use them for? Would it be to strangle me because you just can't hold down? And yeah, that chorus is just very like anthemic. It's very much got those. I will say the album is on the whiny side, but like you know, I don't really complain about that really. You know, the lyrics are like, why can't I just be the one that carries all the guilt? And I can see it in your eyes. But I really think this song like should have been a big hit. Yeah, it was in a racing game. I think the problem is just this album coming out in 2003 was a very much a changing time in music. Fingertight definitely got lumped into like nu metal, even though I don't really think they were that nu metal sounding. This song is very like post-grunge sounding, I honestly think. Just like power chords and like emotionally charged lyrics and singing. This song is great, and like, you know, even if like you're not interested in listening to the album, definitely check out Guilt. I 100% recommend that song. It's amazing. Okay, the next song is At War. Now this song kind of starts interesting, where the guitars are kind of like minimalist. The lyrics as well like do paint a picture. Like I do remember like, I can see the desert, I can see the stars, and then the chorus, and it's like that we're at war with ourselves. That's the thing that I noticed with this album too, is that it gets like very sort of political vibes. I know that it released in 2003, which was when the Iraq War happened. I'm not sure if that had any like relation to the song's themes or anything like that. This song's pretty decent. It's not as good as the 3 that came before it, but it has a very sort of dramatic, kind of I don't know, kind of a downer vibe to it, honestly. The next song is Speak in Tongues. This one has the singer, he's like yelling something at the beginning, and then it just goes into those right. The drums are a lot quicker this time. I don't know what it is, but this song for some reason reminds me of like martial arts movies. I don't really know why, but I can just picture like people fighting when I listen to this song. The lyrics, again, they're also on the political side, not on the sort of like, oh, they're very right wing or they're very left wing. It's not like they're stating their views, it's more just kind of in general. Like, you know, I really like the lyric, not diplomatic or democratic, going in this kind of like singing, rapping kind of vibe, where it's not really hip-hoppy, but it's like got more rap rock elements to it. And then the chorus is fantastic, where the drumming slows down again, and everything just falls away, 'cause everything just falls away. But yeah, this song's like very high energy. I do enjoy it. The next song is an interlude. We're not going to spend too much time on it. 515 Milas. or Malus. I don't really know. It sounds like an address or something, like a name of a street or place. Not much to say really. It's just kind of got like machine kind of like spacey noises, and you can hear some like keyboards and pianos in the background. It does make me think of the robots, which are like all over the album art though. So I don't know. Is that intentional? Now we're on to the next proper song, Nathaniel. I love this song. It is amazing. It should have been a hit single, honestly. It starts off with very much like post-grunge sounding guitar riffs. This song is a moody sounding ballad. And the lyrics make me think of Helicopter Parents. Like, I think the song, it never explicitly says the name Nathaniel in the song, but I think Nathaniel is like a child, and this song is about his parents being controlling, and, you know, helicopter parents, like, constantly monitoring him, and, you know, I don't know, the lyrics, they do get me, like, very emotional. Like, it's like, all you've done is try to hold him down and make him into something that you find beautiful. Like, it's like they want what's, like, the parents or the, you know, the authority figures want what's best for them, not what's best for Nathaniel, the character in the song. The chorus as well is like, oh, I'm getting better, better than you know. I see those things you hide from me. It's just about the time you try to sit you down and try to turn you to the ground. I butchered some of those, I apologize. This song is a great ballad. I really do think it should have had like a music video. It has that kind of moody vibe to it that was in a lot of post-grunge. It's very... This album in general is just very 2003 sounding, but in a good way. The next song is Things Have Changed. We're continuing this kind of the more chill kind of vibe. This song has like violins in the background and like pianos and keyboards, like mostly. And I really like the lyrics. You know, he says like, I want to be a better man, a better man. Kind of the repetition in the lyrics, which I find like interesting. But also like one thing I'll notice is that like the piano keys get quite like intense with the singing, which this is gonna sound crazy but kind of gives me like Broadway musical kind of vibes. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it's pretty decent. The next song is Emo This, which the first time I was reading the track list, I thought it was like a joke. I thought it was kind of like, you know, mocking the emo fashion and music that was just starting to get big, like around the time of this album's release. But no, the lyrics are focused on a girl who's like, you know, going through problems. I think even the lyrics open up with something like, there are people in this world who keep to themselves, they don't say much. I don't have much to say for this song, but the guitars, like, they do sound pretty good. They do use those like distortion kind of effects again. It's a pretty decent song, just with a very silly title. And it also mentions like crack one open to find what's inside their head kind of thing. So, you know, maybe that kind of like gives some like cartoony imagery there. The next song is Shut Up. That's literally what it is. This song is extremely emo sounding. This is where like the emo sound peaks. It starts off with those kind of like where I think I saw some like animation online where it was like making fun of songs, you know, where like instead of singing lyrics they just say doo-doos and la-las, la-di-das, you know, instead of actually saying words there. I didn't like it when I initially heard it. I thought it was kind of like cringe, like, shut up and let me apologize to you, those kind of vibes. But I really dig the chorus. Well, I'm down here, I'm down here. It definitely reminds me of something that like The Used would do. You know, it's very like those post-hardcore kind of vibes, but with less screaming. Yeah, this song is a lot more, it is on the whinier kind of side of things. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but you know, it's still enjoyable. Now, we're getting back to the amazing stuff, like the first 3 tracks on the album. We are on track 11, and that is Surface. This song, oh boy. This song is unapologetically 100% straight up nu metal. Full on. Just those heavy down-tuned guitars and bouncy riffs. And those kind of like borderline kind of rap singing. And we're going back to the sort of political lyrics. Why did you call out your riots? And then the chorus, no, we don't need a leader. No, we don't need a leader. There's no philosophy, and there's no philosophy. You know, that like singing, fast-paced rapping with those like fast-paced guitars. This song is fantastic. It makes me think of like video games like Devil May Cry and like, I don't know, State of Emergency, if anyone remembers that one. Maybe GTA. Like, it makes me think of like fighting and guns and just like badass shit like that. It even kind of like is quite progressive, and like it goes from like heavy riffage and like we don't need a leader, and you even get the more melodic sections like, why can't you see what you're doing to me? Scott Rose's vocals are like fantastic on this whole album. They definitely reminiscent of the sort of like similar nu metal and post-grunge alternative metal bands at the time. You know, Incubus, Hoobastank, Alien Ant Farm, Papa Roach. They with songs like this, they definitely fit into that whole thing. But yeah, this song is energetic, it's badass. I could definitely tell, like, at a concert, it's the one that's going to make people, like, mosh. You know, start the mosh pits, pushing each other around, you know, like, headbanging in the crowd, jump the fuck up, like Soulfly says. Surface is fantastic. After that energy, it kind of ends with, like, guitars, like, slowing down, and then we lead straight into the next track, which is Resurface, or Resurface. So that makes me think if these two songs are somehow connected. So Surface is a really like energetic nu metal track, but on the other hand, Resurface is another moody, melancholic, slow post-grunge ballad. It starts off with those sort of like loud sounding snare drums, like, and then you go into those very melancholic riffs and strumming. And the first lyric is like on the surface at the one we call Belief. This song essentially is about that you're in a bad place in life, and even human beings, like, what are we even living for at this point? The chorus in particular, I will straight up say it, this is my favourite song on the entire album. I remember initially going into it thinking, is Guilt going to be the only good song on the album? But all the others I've heard, and especially this one, Resurface, blew all of that doubt out of the water. I love the chorus. So far the only thing I figured out, that all of you is God must really hate me, because I know I don't deserve the things that I've been through alone. That whole bit of the song is just like, oof, it stings hard. If you've literally ever felt like you've been in that spot where you feel like if God's real, he must hate you because of just how unfortunate you are and how much you've had a bad hand in life. It's, yeah, it is one of those types of songs. And then after we go into the second chorus, the song changes a little bit. It goes into like, and everything that you wanted, everything that you know is what breaks you. This song's beautiful. I just love it. But I could definitely see myself listening to this one when I'm like in a bad mood. And not to mention, Scott Rose's vocals are just fantastic. When at the end of the song, he just like absolutely belts the chorus out. This song is amazing. I highly recommend you check it out. Now we're on to another interlude track. It's only about 30 or 40 seconds long. It's The Orient. This song is definitely better than the previous interlude, because it kind of sounds like something that would have been recorded like straight from the studio. There's a nice like piano in the background with like, you know, a very loud like drum beat playing. It's interesting. Now we've got probably like up there with Shut Up. It's probably like my least favourite song on the album. Blah Blah Radio, which is a shame because of how great the past few songs have been. This song kind of goes into like pop punk kind of roots. It's very upbeat. You know, maybe it's similar to sort of like bands like Fall Out Boy and such, which aren't really like my kind of thing, to be honest with you. You know, Good Charlotte and such. It does sound a bit like Third Eye Blind though, who like I really enjoy. Not much to say about this song really. It does do something interesting where it's like the blah blah bits are like a chorus, like a choir you can hear in the background, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, It doesn't kind of fit the darkness and melancholy of the previous songs, so it's not really one that I listen to much. Now we're on the final track, track number 15, the, ending song, Magical. Oh my god, this song is wonderful. I love this song. It is a straight up piano ballad. Like, not like the other songs were like power ballads with power chords. This is just a straight up ballad. It starts off with these kind of like drums that sound like steam engines, like where they're very like muted in the mix. You can't really like tell they're even drums. But the pianos are beautiful. This song honestly like sounds like a cry for help, to be honest with you. I think the lyric that stands out the most is like the one on the second verse. I'm in a time when innocence should be my right. I'm in a battle between alcohol and my life. And also the whole bit with the title Magical. And when it happens it's magical. And the chorus is pretty self-explanatory. And I'm not afraid anymore, 'cause I can feel you next to me. It pretty much is about like the person that you love the most being there for you, even in your lowest moments, even at your worst. It's magical, which sounds very cheesy, but the song definitely conveys it. The middle section of the song as well gets extremely like sad. It can make you like pretty tearful if you're in the mood for it. And the singer himself does these kind of like falsetto, high pitch kind of things in the vocals. He honestly sounds like he's on the verge of tears, which just adds to the emotions of the song. It doesn't really end like spectacularly either. It just kind of ends with the same like muted sounding drums, and then the song ends. It just seemed to be a trend with a lot of these 2000s, especially 2002, 2003 like bands, where the final tracks are always like really sad. Like for example, Unloco had a song called Texas, Disturbed had a song called Darkness, Chevelle had like One Lonely Visitor. Where it's like they save the sad ballad as the last kind of track, which kind of like it ends it on a downer. But I kind of like it because it's like, I am a very emotional person who, I do take music very seriously. It's a big part of my life. So listening to full albums and getting to that kind of like melancholic end, it leaves a lasting impression, let's just say that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That was In the Name of Progress by Fingertight. This album's great. Yeah, there are a few songs that are pretty like skippable, maybe even filler, but the album, it delves into a lot of different styles. Some of the songs are like post-grunge, alt-rock. A lot of the songs are post-hardcore or emo sounding. And of course you have Surface, which is like straight up nu metal. I was kind of hoping there would be more songs on the album like that one, but that's okay. What ended up happening with Fingertight, they were going to release a second album in 2005, which leaned more into the sort of like emo alt-rock kind of sound, but they never got to officially release it. They had a bunch of like unreleased songs that you can find online and listen to, but yeah, they ended up breaking up. And unfortunately, I want to say about 10 years ago, Scott Rose himself, he did a couple projects, but he just he went down a bad path in life. He seemed to get addicted to drugs, and he went homeless, and he ended up in the news a couple times for him and his girlfriend at the time. Got into some crimes like breaking and entering, and like opening a safe and stealing money. So yeah, it kind of just puts a whole perspective on it, especially with the song Magical. Like I said, they definitely could have gone on to do better things, but just were treated like crap by the label, didn't know what to do with them. But I really do think this album is like super underrated. It definitely like itches that like certain scratch that I have for like 2000s bands, especially kind of towards like the tail end of like the nu metal era, with that more kind of like emotional vibe some albums had at the time. But yeah, this album is great. I highly recommend it. And obviously you can listen to it on YouTube. It's not on Spotify where I live. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing the year-end video pretty soon. And then, we'll go into the new year and see what new projects are going to be made. So yeah, Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Peace and rock on.